In a forgotten chapter of history, hidden beneath the sands of time and overshadowed by the legends of Rome, Persia, and Byzantium, there rose an empire so extraordinary that its very existence feels like a forbidden secret. This was an empire built not by sheer force alone, but by cunning diplomacy, mercantile brilliance, and an audacity that stunned even its greatest rivals. Welcome to the untold saga of the forbidden rise of the Khazar Empire that almost ruled the world, a story buried under centuries of silence, erased by victors who feared its memory, and rediscovered now on vertex of time. This is not just a story of battles and borders. It's a story of a people who defied destiny, reshaped cultures, and came closer than most realized to uniting East and West under a single crown. Picture a vast expanse stretching from the Caspian Sea to the Black Sea, where rugged steppe warriors guarded trade routes that linked the riches of China, the spices of India, and the gold of Byzantium. This was the land of the Khazars, a confederation that transformed into a formidable empire during the 7th and 8th centuries. Born out of the collapse of the mighty Gokturk Khaganate, the Khazars didn't merely survive the chaos, they built something the world had never seen before, a multi-ethnic empire that controlled the crossroads of civilizations. Their power lay not only in cavalry and steel, but in their mastery of commerce and diplomacy, making them the gatekeepers between East and West. At its height, Khazar Empire stood as an unshakable force between the Islamic caliphates to the south and the Christian empires of Byzantium to the west. Instead of succumbing to these giants, the Khazars played them against each other, trading alliances like seasoned gamblers and growing rich from the very conflicts that threatened to swallow them. But what truly set the Khazars apart from every other empire was a choice so bold, so baffling, that historians still debate its motives. They adopted Judaism as the faith of the royal court and ruling elite. Imagine a sea of Christian and Muslim powers surrounding them, and at the heart of this storm, an empire that chose a third path, neither east nor west, neither cross nor crescent, but a crown adorned with the Star of David. This decision wasn't just symbolic, it became the soul of Khazaria's identity, insulated them from being absorbed by either Christian Byzantium or the Islamic caliphates, allowing them to act as brokers, traders, and even kingmakers. Along the Silk Road, Khazar merchants became legendary for their wealth and fairness, their caravans moving under the protection of fierce steppe cavalry. Cities like Atil, the Khazar capital on the banks of the Volga, glittered with gold, silk, and treasures from 3 continents. Here, mosques, churches, and synagogues stood side by side, a vision of coexistence rare for its age, and perhaps even for ours. Yet power, as history teaches us, breeds enemies and envy. The very success of the Khazars drew the gaze of conquerors. Islamic caliphates launched repeated campaigns to break Khazars' power, aiming to breach the Caucasus and reach into Europe. The Khazars, however, held firm, becoming a bulwark that shielded Eastern Europe from Islamic expansion. Meanwhile, to the north, rising Slavic tribes and the emergent Rus principalities began to challenge Khazar authority over vital trade routes. The Khazars responded with both steel and silver, maintaining dominance through a delicate balance of tribute, trade, and terror. In these centuries, the Khazar Empire was closer than most realized to becoming the supreme power of Eurasia. They held the keys to the Silk Road. They controlled rivers that were the lifeblood of commerce. And in an age when religion dictated alliances and enmities, they stood unique, neutral, yet influential. There was a moment when, had the Khazars pushed further west, or forged stronger bonds with the Franks or Byzantines, history might have bent under their weight. Imagine a Khazar-led confederation spanning from the Volga to the Danube, bridging Muslim and Christian worlds, rewriting the map of medieval Europe and Asia. But fate, as always, is unkind to even the boldest dreamers. The Khazar Empire's strength was also its vulnerability. Its wealth relied on trade that could be diverted, its power on allies who could become enemies. As the Rus grew bolder, launching devastating raids along the Volga, and as Byzantine power fluctuated, the Khazar grip weakened. Internal divisions surfaced, as local governors and rival claimants vied for influence. And by the 10th century, the Khazars faced a challenge they could not repel: the rise of Kievan Rus, whose ambitious princes saw in Khazaria not a partner, but a prize. The great blow came under Sviatoslav I of Kiev, whose campaign shattered Khazar fortresses and ended centuries of Khazar dominance. Atil burned, the royal court scattered, and with it, the vision of a Khazar-led world vanished into smoke and legend. Yet even in defeat, the Khazars didn't disappear entirely. Their merchants, scholars, and refugees spread across Eastern Europe, carrying with them fragments of Khazar culture and memory. Whispers of Khazar ancestry echoed among Jewish communities, and their legacy became part history, part myth, a lost kingdom whose shadow still stretches across time. Why, then, did history conspire to erase them? Because the Khazars defied every narrative. Steppe nomads who built cities, warriors who were also merchants, a pagan people who chose Judaism in a divided religious world. Their very existence challenged the idea that empires must be rooted in a single faith or culture. For medieval chroniclers in Christian Europe and the Islamic world, the Khazar story was an uncomfortable anomaly, easier to forget than to explain. And so, over centuries, they faded from chronicles, replaced by the rise of Slavic states and the onward march of new empires. Yet, when we look deeper, the Khazar Empire's influence is undeniable. They delayed the spread of Islam into Eastern Europe. They shaped trade routes that would later fuel the growth of Russian principalities. Their experiment with religious pluralism and cultural synthesis left faint but powerful echoes in the idea that different faiths could coexist under a single rule. Even today, debates rage over the extent of their legacy, a testament to the empire's lasting fascination. Imagine, for a moment, if the Khazars had triumphed. A Eurasia where the Silk Road flourished under Khazar protection, where East and West traded not just goods, but knowledge freely. The Crusades might never have happened, for a Jewish Khazar empire might have mediated between Islam and Christianity. The borders of Europe and Asia, as we know them, would be unrecognizable. And the very idea of a clash of civilizations might never have taken root. But history chose another path. And in that choice, we lost not just an empire, but a vision of what might have been. A crossroads civilization where cultures met rather than clashed, where faith was a bridge rather than a sword. Today, the ruins of Atil lie buried, and the names of Khazar rulers survive only in scattered chronicles. Yet their spirit endures in every debate about identity, tolerance, power. A silent reminder that the past we know is only part of what once was. Before you leave, reflect on this. Why do we remember Rome, Persia, and Byzantium, but forget Khazaria? And what other empires lie hidden, waiting for someone to ask why they were forgotten? If this journey through the rise and fall of the Khazar Empire fascinated you, then join us on Vertex of Time. Subscribe now, share this story, become part of our community of truth seekers and time travelers who refuse to let history's forbidden chapters remain in darkness. Together we'll keep asking, keep exploring, and keep alive the memories of those who dared to dream beyond the horizon. Because history is never truly lost, it's waiting for us to look closer. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold. And remember, even the forgotten empires can teach us the most about who we are and who we could become, only here on Vertex of Time.